blew up right in front of us.
This story begins with two brothers in arms returning from war.
Well, I got out in 2009 after my second deployment and had suffered a traumatic brain injury and was medically retired.
James Jeffers and Stephen Smith trained together with the 1st Cav at Fort Hood, deploying at different times, crossing paths briefly in Kuwait as James was coming back from Iraq. Both would leave the Army with lingering health problems.
The diet and the vaccinations, I became allergic to a lot of different things I never had been allergic to, and I started learning about organics and how our food is laced with pesticides and herbicides. I decided that I knew enough to know that I needed to grow my own food.
Got hit with some grenades and some pretty heavy antibiotics after that, so it just wiped my system out. So I'd already been eating organic. My next step was to grow my own vegetables and set a garden at my house, and Steve helped me do that, and I just fell in love with it. It was everything I needed. It was physical therapy, it was mental therapy for my brain injury. I was learning something new every single day.
Smith and Jeffers started a business called Eat the Yard, finding peace and profit growing food. But so many of the soldiers they served with were suffering.
We've lost 11 friends to suicide in the last 5 years. We couldn't stand by and not do anything. We couldn't just blame the system, and that's too easy. There's a lot of vets coming back, and there's not enough people to serve them. We would get a call from our leadership, from our unit, whenever someone would commit suicide, and there was a couple weekends back to back in 2010 where we lost 2 guys weekend after weekend, and we had already been talking about the therapeutic nature of things. It just solidified it. We were just like, that's it, we're gonna do it.
Thus, F.A.R.M was founded, Farmers Assisting Returning Military, a nonprofit dedicated to producing healthy organic food and healing vets. And the urban farming effort grew from scattered plots to nearly 20 acres in DeSoto, where chickens and pigs are raised, where vegetables are grown, where soldiers heal. Jason Corbin, a Marine veteran, heard about the F.A.R.M project after returning to his home in Kentucky.
And I got out and I came home out in the middle of nowhere in farming community, and it felt empty. And I started getting dark mindset about myself.
When he heard about what we were doing, it was immediate. He was here for a visit, and he's like, I'm moving in. I'm coming to do this. This is what I want to do.
Jason was part of a 6-month internship, living at the house, choosing now to stay on and help long term.
A big part of it was the brotherhood and somebody always having your back. I knew I had to do something to help other veterans out, because they shouldn't have to feel like I did.
When they get into the civilian world, society is completely different. You know, you're not surrounded by your peers every day, and your tribe is gone. It's miraculous almost to see the transformation when someone comes to the farm, hangs out with somebody for 20 minutes in the tomato patch, and feels like they just had 5 years worth of therapy. You're programmed to be in an environment where your life is at risk. And you can't just turn that off and go on a tour and then come back and then go on a tour and then come back and think that everything is going to be okay. You're going to be different every time. Have you ever met anybody that's done 10 tours from any other war? I mean, what does that do to someone's mental state? I've heard people call, veterans weak because, oh, it didn't happen to my grandfather in World War II, or you're damn right it did. And there was suicide then too. And you know what there was? There was a therapeutic agricultural program in the VA system, and there was a farm behind almost every VA. After World War II, a lot of guys went back to the farm.
Jason was one of 5 interns in the pilot program.
We plan on bringing in 10 veterans on the next one. The first 3 months, they do a case study. So they find out what it is they're interested in, if it's rabbits or mushroom production or whatever it is. They compile data and do a case study on that. And then the second 3 months, they're still doing direct market farming, but they take that data they compiled for the case study and they apply that toward a business plan. By the time they're done after the 6-month program, they can either seek employment with a partnering farm that's doing things similar to that, or our hope is they'll start their own farm.
And the more of those kind of guys that we can get here, the more successful our farm will be, and the more successful our mission will be for feeding America and helping veterans.
Vets don't like that word therapy. Right?
No, it's a dirty word. I mean, we call it dirt therapy here. It's just getting your hands in the dirt is therapeutic, you know, and admitting you have a problem is a hard thing to do for anyone, especially a vet, I think. And when they get to the breaking point or the point where they realize or think that they should go get help, they're often hit with roadblocks.
I'm retired Army combat medic.
Cammie Cole was diagnosed last summer with cancer, still recovering from chemo treatments, but now cancer-free. F.A.R.M has offered her a path back.
Helps me get myself motivated again. It helps me clear my head. It helps me be calm. And at the same time, feel like I have purpose. It feels great. I mean, even though you hurt in the evening, but you know, you feel like you accomplished something, and that's all I ever want to do, is feel like I've accomplished something.
A lot of the farm-to-table chefs are the ones that really seek out our stuff. We can only supply about 4 restaurants right now.
And I brought you your red Russian kale.
Beautiful.
These are the delicatas.
I'm dedicated to farm-to-table type cooking, so sourcing everything locally. There's so much weird stuff going on in food these days with pesticides and GMOs. So for me to have the relationship with the food, I know how it's being produced. I can serve the healthiest, most tasty food. I think it's really that's got to get back to this grassroots movement of everybody knows where things are coming from and it's grown in a healthy way and the soil's not denuded.
They're really beautiful and tasty. I didn't have a lot right now.
Those are delicious.
Aren't they so good?
Really sweet. We'll put those in everything.
We sell most of our stuff at the Dallas Farmers Market now and get it directly to the community. The chef stuff is the fun stuff where they're asking for real specialty ingredients, and they get really excited about the flavors that we're able to bring. And they told us as some of the best produce in Dallas because of the things that we put into the soil to make our food taste better. We don't use any pesticides, any herbicides. We just create really, really healthy soil. We grow soil and we get vegetables.
Nothing was done, and I didn't even realize it was 4:45. I happened to look at the clock, and I was like, holy crap.
A Friday in early November at F.A.R.M, Farmers Assisting Returning Military, a nonprofit dedicated to raising healthy food and healing vets. A team of chefs is in the kitchen and in the garden.
For the salad, we'll be getting some of this Mizuna, some of these beet tops, Swiss chard, kale. Kind of have a bounty here, so we'll get a little bit of everything.
A very special meal being prepared, a farm-to-table event to benefit the nonprofit. Based on an 18-acre spread in DeSoto with a large house and a big kitchen.
One of the things that we've wanted to work on here at the farm, because we have the space for it, is farm-to-table dinners. Being in the service industry for so long, I have the connections to chefs.
I think I speak for everyone that we just love using fresh ingredients, and you can't really get more fresh than picking it hours before the dinner. Just putting out good food for a good cause. You got just go for the leg. Go for the sweep. I'm sorry.
4:45 rolled around and nothing was done, and I didn't even realize it was 4:45. I happened to look at the clock and I was like, holy crap. But it all came together. I'm totally pleased. It looks beautiful. The chefs are in there working their magic. I was a little nervous that I wasn't going to have anybody to help volunteer with stuff, but people ended up showing up, which was awesome.
I think there's probably 15 different types of greens, whether it be asparagus, ferns, Swiss chard. And then we have some beautiful eggs from right up the trail right there that we use some sausage from a pig they killed about a month ago. So That's literally the farm on a plate right there for you guys, so enjoy.
If you guys don't know what we do, we're FARM. It stands for Farmers Assisting Returning Military.
For co-founders James Jeffers and Stephen Smith, the urban farm in DeSoto is just a beginning.
This is the future for our organization.
In the heart of Deep Ellum, a stone's throw from Dallas Farmers Market, F.A.R.M Urban Park is taking root. On an old auto impound lot, 2.5 acres of concrete.
We couldn't spend $400,000 on mulch and make that viable. So we're gonna make our own by inviting the tree companies to come here and dump their chipped waste. We'll process it here, and as it breaks down over 2 or 3 years, it'll turn into the most beautiful bacteria and soil that you could ever imagine for growing things.
Eventually, the longtime eyesore will be transformed. F.A.R.M Urban Park will connect vets trained as farmers with visitors who come to experience and learn.
Every station, it's like you're going to the zoo, but instead of seeing the monkeys and the penguins and the lions, you're going to look at worms and compost and bees and pollination.
It's a place where the veterans that finish our program at our rural farms can come downtown and get back into those educational roles. Most military and leadership positions, they are used to teaching and passing on knowledge.
There's studies that show that your hands in the dirt, the actual enzymes in the soil, side by side with pharmaceuticals, the dirt works better. That connection with nature and the ground is grounding. And it helps you see life in a different way. I don't know any other way to describe it. It's exactly what we needed. We tore up our yards so that we could eat healthier and feed our families better food. And it turned into something completely unexpected, you know. We didn't realize how healing it was going to be for ourselves. By offering that to our peers, we can give them that same hope.